Hello, I would like to demonstrate a Vim plugin I wrote called Crosspaste. Its purpose is to take blocks of text and paste it across TMUX panes. It uses another Vim plugin called VMUX to do this. It can take some templates and do some substitution while it's pasting the text. My main purpose for it is to take queries and paste them into database interfaces that don't have an ability to edit queries on their own. So I'm going to demonstrate this. I have a SQLite database that is a sample I found online, and it's got a few tables, all things about music, and I'm going to run into the other thing. Now, if you're in a block of text, you can send that with a simple command. I have it mapped to \qp, and it sends it over. And so this did a query of all the artists in the database, and there's a few hundred, and you can see them here. Now, if you just wanted one of them, this query demonstrates one thing it'll do is it will take templated things, in this case, this $, curly bracket, artist, end curly bracket, will wait for input. So I'm going to hit \qp again, and it's asking for an artist. So I can type one of them like Amy Winehouse. I hit return, and it gives me all the albums that are in this database for Amy Winehouse, which is Back to Black and Frank are the ones it lists. And there's a few variations on the commands. That's the basic cross paste. You can also do it with a block like this, and instead of checking for a blank space and a semicolon at the end, you can do an entire block, which you have more control over. I have that mapped to \qb, and it does basically the same thing. It'll ask for names the same way, but it goes for a block instead of the pre-assigned pattern of blank space to semicolon. The other thing I have is I have cross-paste quick. What that does is that will assume that you want the same input you used last time. So if this session I hadn't entered an artist, it would still ask me for an artist, but I've put in Amy Winehouse. So if I do \qq, it'll just choose Amy Winehouse again without even asking me. It'll assume I want to use the same one again. If I wanted to change artists, I could change it going back to \qp, and that'll change what the default is. Another thing it has is possibly you have more than one thing that you want to enter, and you could have an entire file of them. So for that, you can use this $. If you have a variable inside that $, curly brackets, you preface it with fs, that's file string. And so I'm going to do that now, and it's asking me for I think it's string example.txt is the file that I made, and it's a file of a bunch of artists who have "the" in their name. So it has the Tea Party, the Who, the Rolling Stones, and it has all their albums. So that's one of them, the $fs. And it's going to put them in the query. I'm going to paste the query that it put out. It's going to put them in the query, and it's going to put them in quotes. Now, possibly what you have is not a file of strings, but a file of numbers. For that, I have this thing that you have $, curly bracket, and the variable name, and instead of fs, you put fn. So I have a different file called idexample.txt. idexample.txt, I type its file name, and it'll put in the file had 4 lines, 268, 254, 259, 264. It'll take those 4 lines and bind them together, And it gives me those artists who are Otto Klemper, the 12 cellists, the Berlin Philharmonic, and Itzhak Perlman. And anyway, it takes those numbers, joins them together, and replaces them in the string. So it's a pretty simple Vim plugin. The code fits on a page or two. But I found it really useful, and I've used it a lot, and I hope it is useful to you too. Thank you very much.